I love me.
Alright, welcome to the We Love Gaming podcast, and today is not a podcast. We have a special guest with us today. We have Plus,
Hey, how you guys doing?
and we also got Sirknight with us, and we are going to talk about The Last of Us 2 today.
Yeah, I hear Plus got a lot of opinions about The Last of Us too.
I definitely don't have a lot of opinions.
Yeah, Plus is one of our viewers, one of our only viewers that leaves comments on our videos, so
Yeah.
we decided to bring him in here because he had a whole lot to say about our last little review on The Last of Us 2, and we just said, okay, well, you got to show.
One of the only
See what you
viewers
got.
so far.
Well, so far, yeah, we going up. We getting the numbers up. But yeah, so where do we start, right? Where do we start with gameplay, story?
Don't
Yeah.
get me started on the story.
Let's just give you a. Okay, we'll start with the good. What are some things you liked about The Last of Us 2?
Some of the things that I liked about I liked the gameplay. The gameplay was definitely a highlight. The graphics, the way that they really took the time to focus on the detailed aspects of everything. One of the things that I liked that you guys talked about was like the way that they really emulated the violence and how the facial expressions, the mannerisms and things like that were really like captured well. So that was one of the things that I really liked. A step up from the first one. I like the new assets as far as the weapons go. Like they had the little mine that you created, which I thought was pretty dope.
And that was only for Ellie.
Oh, yeah.
Abby didn't even get no.
Nah, definitely not.
That was the dog killer.
Yeah.
With the mines, right?
Yeah.
I
The
really
dog
Mines
comes
put in
out,
work,
you put
man.
the mine there, let the dog get the sniff on you, and you just walk away and it runs right into the mine. That's
That's
what I was
crazy.
doing.
I never actually used it on the dog.
Yeah, that's what I used.
What'd you use it on?
I always stabbed it. Oh, I used it on the bloater,
Okay.
and I think that's it. It's crazy because like once I figured out what it was, I didn't use it till the end of the game.
I feel
I
like
see.
there was, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like there was so many different things that you could use that I ended up not using like a lot of the stuff. Like I don't think I ever used like any of the smoke ones. Wasn't there like a smoke
Same, yeah.
bomb? I never pulled
I
that
never
out,
used it either.
not
Didn't
once.
either.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What were the other ones? It was the trip mine.
Never
Was
used that
one.
one.
The smoke bomb, and then what was the third
Oh,
one? There was
So
one more.
there was the incendiary. Was there an incendiary like grenade?
Now there was an incendiary shotgun. Shit.
Yeah, I definitely used that one.
I used those. Yeah.
Oh,
those
Dude,
are fire.
those are sick.
Yeah,
Those
sure.
are dope. Oh, just so the audience knows, this will be a spoiler
yeah,
episode.
definitely.
Like we're
Tons of
talking about
spoilers.
everything, right? So when you hear me talk about blowing dogs up with trip mines, like you do that in this game.
That just sounds so bad when you say it out
I
loud.
don't know. Peter's hating that game, man.
Yeah, but that's what's funny. It's like everyone's hating The Last of Us 2 for the dogs that you kill, but I've killed like 85 dogs in Ghost, and no one said a dang thing about that.
Who's hating The Last of Us 2?
Dude, everyone's hating about the dog
Really?
killing in The Last
Where'd
of
you
Us
read
2.
those comments at?
Dude, it's all over YouTube, man. But when it comes to Ghost, oh, it can do no wrong, man. The dogs, I've killed hundreds of those.
You know what's the reason? It's because the dogs there just look like black fur balls running around. They
Yeah,
don't really
maybe
look
that's
like
it.
dogs. They're not really
Maybe
like
that's it.
distinct.
Yeah. It's like, where's the outrage over this?
I don't
That's
know.
what-
You're cutting with a sword, but you're literally shooting the dogs. Now nobody's really
Okay.
running around with samurai swords.
See, I never really shot the dogs. It was all melee weapons.
Melees?
Melee weapons.
Yeah.
I always got
I
caught
was a
with them
big
running
melee
up on
weapon.
me, so I had to.
That's why I waited.
Yeah.
I would wait and try to get the dodge out the way and then just get them.
Yeah.
Because I was real more so on the stealth aspect of the game. Like, so I was real since the Last of Us 1. I think that was more so my mannerisms was to be quiet, sneak
Mhm.
around. I didn't really use like any of the main weapons if it wasn't the bow and arrow, or if I couldn't sneak up on them, then I wasn't really doing too much.
So,
Yeah, like I kind of like was the same way. Like I always found myself like not using my ammunition,
Yeah.
and I felt like the game wanted me to use the ammunition a lot
Really?
because they had it all over the place. So I was
Definitely.
never using that. I was
Yeah.
stealthing everything.
I was popping off every second
I
I
was
got.
stealthing.
It was getting the bottle gun off. You know,
Oh,
the
the
handgun
silencer?
with the silencer. You know?
I did that.
I was getting that off, but then on top of that, it was just like, okay, bow and arrows is all day, all right, but once you alert it, I'm pulling out the big guns.
I ran
got
away
the
as a
scope.
kid.
I'm taking heads
yeah,
off.
I'm right in the grass with it.
Yeah, I'm right in the grass.
I'm right in the grass.
You
with
could,
it.
that was the best part. You could be in the grass and still using the big boy and knocking heads off, and then they'd be like, "Oh, where's he at?" You know what I mean? They didn't know, so you could still get off a couple of shots before you got bum rushed.
See, I was too nervous. I think that the way that the first game was, the ammunition was very scarce from my recollection.
Sure.
But on this one, I felt like it was in abundance.
Yes.
And I think I did it on one of the more harder difficulties, so it was really surprising that it was there. So I think that I was more nervous that, okay, they're going to trick me. They give me a lot of ammunition in the beginning, but then towards the end, it's going to limit it. So, yeah, it was always bow and arrows, anything that I could reuse. And one of the things that I kept doing was upping, like, my shield power, the melee weapons and things like that, more so than like the actual guns.
Yeah.
I think he's right though. Like I think I agree with you that I never wanted to trust or rely on the guns because I never could trust that they were going to give me the ammo back.
Yeah.
So it was always like last resort. Like, okay, I have nothing else. Now I'm going to pull my shotgun out. Now I'm going to use my sparse ammo. But they were pretty generous with the ammo. In the first one, they really weren't.
And then
so I think I was thinking that way too.
On top of that, you got to make like a large majority of some of your random ammo, like the special.
Yeah,
stuff.
you got to make your own ammo.
That was also good too. You know, finding that extra stuff. But I don't know about you guys, but there was a lot of times where I was always running across things, and it's like, damn, I didn't even use that gun. So it's like all this ammo just sitting here, and I can't pick it up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that happened a lot, and then it kind of like made me switch it up. Like, oh, okay, well, I haven't used this, so let me go empty the chamber a little bit,
still did.
and then just grab it. You know what I mean? Just to grab it. Like, I'll just use this gun to grab it.
I think another thing that I really liked about the game was how they kind of dived deeper into the story about how the infection really started. And like the first outbreak, you had to go back to the hospital, and then like you really got to see a lot, like with the doctor's notes and how they thought that it wasn't going to spread as bad as it was.
Right.
So I really like that aspect of the game also because they didn't really touch on that in the first one.
Right.
What else?
What did you? So what are some of your beefs with the story?
Oh,
I know you hate the story. So
the
what are some of your
story
beefs?
was so bad. So for me personally, playing 30 minutes of the game, once you get to see Abby and I can't remember the guy's name, but when they're on that mountain like ledge and they look over to the top.
It started with a G.
Yeah, I want to say Glenn.
No, it was Owen.
Owen.
Yeah,
it
it definitely was Owen.
Yeah.
But once you're playing as Abby and Owen and you go off and you see like the town in the horizon and you kind of see her mannerisms and you hear the dialogue, you kind of know exactly what's going to happen. Like she has a beef with somebody, she's not going to stop until she gets it. And if you think about it, there's only two main men characters that you remember from the first of us. I mean, and it's what's his name?
The brother? Or?
Billy is the brother, right?
Yeah.
And then the main guy is Joel.
You talking about Tommy?
Tommy's the brother, and Joel is the main guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
Was there a Billy?
Yeah.
Nah, it was no Billy.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like
it was no Billy.
So yeah, like that. I think that was a real gripe for me. Is like the way that they went about it. You can tell that it was more of like a revenge plot type storyline.
Yeah.
So like the way that it played out just continued to get worse for me as the game went on, and I didn't really care for the storyline in that aspect of it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, the thing that I hated the most is that I put so much time into Ellie, like getting her equipment up, getting the character stronger, to go through that story, and then finally hit a roadblock where they incapacitate me, and then now I have to play the second half of the game as Abby. So I got to start all over again with some chick I could care less about, who I wanted to smoke at the very, like, as soon as possible.
Right.
So it was just kind of annoying. And then it's like, okay, I already had a backstory, you know, with Ellie, so now I gotta go sit through this backstory. And it's like, I get it, you know, I gotta like learn some more about the character and things, but I felt like some of the areas that they had you like going back in, like this whole like, you know, dream recap where you gotta like walk through fields and follow your dad and stuff. That's cool and all, but make that like some side stuff. Like if I wanted to,
They're trying to give you context though, why Ellie was so upset with Joel.
Yeah, but there was no extra context with that, with her walking through the
Abby or Ellie?
Abby, through that area with her dad.
There wasn't only
was
context
that
the only context that was adding was that she loved her dad.
I think that that's
They're-
what they
yeah,
were
they're trying to
do.
show
They're
that
trying
how
to
much
build
she-
that
yeah, see, she
storyline,
really
the
hurt this-
relationship,
yeah.
and how he was such a nice guy, and how
Yes.
he accepted, you know, the
Yeah.
guy who was into her. Like, I totally understand why they did it. It's just the manner in which they did it was like trash, in my opinion. Like, you had to go through the entire thing with Ellie, and then you stop, and now you're going through it with Abby, so you can kind of get some understanding as to why she feels the way she feels, how it changed her life. Because once that moment hit, like her whole childhood changed, her mindset changed, like everything about her was defined by Joel killing her dad.
Mhm.
But like it was pointless because you kind of knew how the story was gonna end. Like somebody had to die. Abby was gonna kill Ellie, or Ellie was gonna kill Abby, and like you knew, but
But
you
neither
built
did.
exactly. You built up this whole relationship
Yes, I did hit
with
that.
Ellie.
Yeah.
So like I'm on Ellie's side off top because like I
Yeah,
love
that's
Joel.
what I started with. I got
like,
a whole nother game with
Exactly.
her.
And that's the thing that really bothered me. There was nothing they could tell me about Abby, her backstory, the way she was raised, that was going to make me go, you know what? Maybe she's right. Maybe Joel decided, like, he needed to go.
Yeah.
Like, and there was nothing they could do. Like, I think the better option would have been to make that storyline, like, different the way it played out. Once you get to the mansion and Joel's in there, Tommy's in there, and Abby's in there, like, you cut it, and now you have to flash back to how the events lead up, and then towards the end of the game, you get the option of when you're Abby, if you actually have to, like, off Joel, if she doesn't follow through with it, like, and now that
So
adds
yeah,
a different
alternate endings.
aspect to it. Yeah, I feel like that would have been a better route to go with it, but
The Last of Us creators, they never give options. Because
yeah.
I remember in the first Last of Us, I did not want to do what Joel was doing. I didn't want to murder that whole entire hospital to save Ellie. Because if, like, had it been me, I'd have been like, no, it's to save the world.
So
Right?
wait a minute.
So I wouldn't have done what Joel did. I wanted that. I wanted at least that choice, and they
You would have
forced
left.
me.
You would have left.
I would have
Ellie
just
there.
left Ellie there.
Right.
But they forced me to pull the trigger and kill every single person in that building. They forced me to do that when I
Yeah.
didn't want to do it.
Right. Or at least they could
That-
have.
I had a problem
He could
with
have
that.
tried to like snatch Ellie and then dip out instead of like
Or even
popping
snatch Ellie and
everybody.
ditch out. Yeah,
Yeah.
he murdered the whole facility.
Yeah, he eradicated the whole surgeon squad that was in that room.
So hold on, just to be clear, if you had a daughter or someone who was like a daughter in that scenario, you would have sacrificed her for the greater good of the world.
Yeah,
Nah, not my daughter.
yeah, I would have.
Okay, well, not my daughter.
To save
I
the
wouldn't
world?
sacrifice
That's
my daughter.
crazy.
To save the world?
Everybody catching that L.
To save the world?
It's gotta be
Definitely
another
not.
one.
There's
Gotta be
she
another
she
one.
Well,
would
that's-
be my
Okay,
world.
well then I would argue that that's the wrong decision. You can do that, but I think
In
that'd be
your
the wrong
eyes?
decision.
In your eyes, right? But in
So
my
why
eyes,
is your daughter worth more than millions of lives?
because that's my daughter. If I have the choice, I'm gonna make that choice. My daughter ain't getting sacrificed for everybody else. I'm in that bucket too, bro. I have no immunity, just like the rest of y'all. So my daughter about to live. I'm gonna go out when I go out, see you when I see you.
Okay,
But
well, that's
I'm not
fine.
about
I
to
disagree.
sacrifice
I
my
disagree. I think that the right decision would be to save the world. That
So-
would be my decision. You can disagree.
So as the doctor, so on Abby's side, you can understand why the story played out the way that it did. Because her father, she asked him, if I'm not mistaken, like, yo, if it was me on that table, would you have sacrificed me to save the world? And you agree with, like, his rationale.
Okay, explain the scene again.
What's his
Cause-
rationale that he would do it? Because
So
it
Abby-
seemed as if he was saying that he wouldn't.
And that's what I'm saying, because Abby asked her dad, like, yo, I know
Right.
what you have to do.
Yeah.
I would you sacrifice me for the world?
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was willing to sacrifice her for you.
So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if the doctor knew it was wrong, Joel
Why
knew
he
it
go
was
through with
wrong. Like,
It was just because it was
Well-
Joe. It was it was
Well,
a random girl.
also Abby, she wanted to be
you mean Ellie?
Ellie, but I also thought that Abby would give up her life for the world too.
I don't think Abby would have.
Well,
I
okay,
don't know.
we know
We
Ellie
don't really
would.
know.
We know Ellie wanted
I
to
don't
be
know if
given
he-
up for the world.
I don't know if Ellie wanted to, or she just felt bad for the world because
Right,
of
right,
how the situation planned out. She didn't have a
No one
say
wants to die,
in the matter.
but
I think that she kind of wanted to sacrifice herself because, like as she said before, she was mad at Joel because my life would mean something
Right.
if
See-
I had died on that table.
And the thing
But
that
now
I think,
it doesn't mean anything. She's just another girl in that world.
see, but the thing I think about that situation is I think that she was more so upset with Joel for taking away her option, her choice. She
Yeah,
didn't get a
for sure.
say in the matter. And then with the way that her relationship panned out, he was a father figure to her. He was really doing everything to protect her. And then at that moment, she didn't have a choice in what she was going to do with her life. And I think that that was why she was more so upset with him than the actual sacrifice.
That's
But at
another-
the same time, she didn't even she didn't express that. She just expressed that that she was bummed that he made that choice to take her out, and that she could have been used for something better. It didn't seem like she was upset with him. Like, you didn't give me the option. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had woke me up and been like, hey, here's the deal. You can't save many lives, but you will die after this. You still good with it? She's like, yeah, cool. Put me to sleep. You know? All right, then we move on.
So if your
But
daughter
that's not
wanted
it.
to give her life
If
up,
my
you would
daughter-
let her.
If my daughter deemed that she wanted to do this for the betterment of the world or whatnot, then at that point I'm gonna,
Okay.
you know, depending on her age,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and
That's
go with
out.
her decision,
That's
depending
out.
on her age.
No.
But I mean, I'm gonna be hard pressed for it. I might be like, okay, well, let's wait a little bit longer and see if we can figure out a way to get this cure without Xing my daughter out.
So look, how long or what age does she get to decide whether she can die for humanity?
She gotta be like a good 45.
Okay, just checking. Just
Yeah, she
checking.
at least have like 3 grandkids.
So look,
You know
I'm
what
gonna be
saying?
completely
She
honest
has to
with
be
you.
well solidified in life.
That's crazy that if you can actually save millions of lives.
Yeah, it's my life too.
So you believe in a
That's
greater
crazy.
good?
Absolutely.
I'm
so-
Absolutely.
So hold on. How many people would you willingly sacrifice for like the greater good?
How
Greater
many?
good is-
Would you
Greater good
would
is
you
a
sacrifice
touchdown.
thousands to save billions?
Yeah,
Ooh.
probably.
Ooh.
That's a touchy
Hey,
subject.
a decision has to be made. You guys know who Winston Churchill is from World War II?
Winston Churchill.
Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
No, this is my small sort of analogy. Hitler, they had a secret code. They would send back what they're going to do, right? Back and forth with their troops, what they're going to do. The British got word of that code, and they knew all the places that the Germans would bomb Britain. So they could have stopped it. But Winston Churchill decided not to stop them from bombing their towns, because the second they stopped one, the Germans would know and change their code. So in an effort to pick, he's making a decision. I'm going to let these few lives die to save the greater majority of Britain. And he would go down to those towns that got bombed that he knew he could have stopped, and he would weep with the people there. But a decision has to be made. What am I going to do? Am I going to save 1,000 or 1,000,000? A decision has to be made.
So I totally understand what you're saying, but and we'll just use Winston Churchill in this situation.
All right.
What gives him the right to decide whose lives matter and whose don't?
Well, the only right he has is that the people put him in power. He doesn't necessarily have the right, but he has the power. He has
Well,
the
not everybody.
ability
I'm
to
sure
make
the
the
people
decision.
are- I'm
Whether
sure
or not he has the
people are
right to,
honorable.
he has the ability to make that decision.
Okay, so to bring it back to the game, do you think so? I think that it was interesting how she was mad at Joel. Ellie was mad at Joel, but she never went back to any type of doctor. She never told anyone her secret. Like, didn't do anything of that. So now that you know what you could have done, what are you going to do with that power that you have? Because she didn't tell anybody that she was immune to it until she told Dina, "Oh, it's
She was-
okay, don't worry
And that
about
was
it."
because of the situation that they were
Exactly.
in. Like, she had to divulge it to be like, hey, don't worry about me. I'm
She was
good.
trusting Joel because Joel was telling her not to tell anyone, right?
Yeah, that's the synopsis. of
Right.
it.
But even then, though, okay, now that you know and you're upset with Joel about it, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go tell the town
Good
doctors,
point.
hey,
That's a good
let's
point.
start taking blood
That's a great
and let's
point.
see what we can
That's
do?
a very good point.
Like, so,
Let's find the. Yeah, I thought that's actually a great point because I was thinking that. I thought that would have been a great storyline. Her trying to find the Fireflies again, doing what Abby was doing at the end. Ellie, that should have been her story. She's like, once she learned the truth that, oh, actually they could have saved the world with my blood, with my genes and genetics, then I'm leaving you, Joel, behind. I'm making my own decision to go and find the Fireflies again. That would have been a great part 2.
and now,
But the idea of it, not to cut you off, but the idea of it was that the only doctor that could do the job was Abby's father. And since
That's
he was
another thing
X'd
I don't
out,
buy.
there was
there's
no
more
other
doctors.
option. Right, but
But
maybe
yeah,
not
I
one
know.
as
That's what they're
knowledgeable
saying,
in this
but-
apocalyptic
which I can
area.
totally understand, but they highlighted another doctor in the Wolves camp.
You talking about Nora?
Yeah. So now, whether you have the knowledge, the expertise, Like, if you're a doctor in the medical field and she's giving you blood, there's a
that's
means
a good
to
point.
start.
You start there, yeah.
Let's find out what's different about you than everyone else. Let's see what we can do as far as testing goes. And if you have an endless source to where you want to start doing good, she never at any point told anyone, went to the medical facilities, or went on that quest to, hey, try to right the wrong. So, like, how
That's a good
accountable is
point.
Joel, and how mad was she really?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, she was the only person that was supposed to be immune to this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
if she had just let every and anybody know, hey, I'm immune, that could have, one, possibly protected her, right? Because who wants to
We can't
kill
give you
the
up.
one person
Yeah.
who can possibly be the cure?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. You like really enjoy all of these clickers running
Right.
around and like having to fight for your life and stuff. So it seems like that would have been the first thing you let out of the
She
bag.
becomes precious.
Yeah,
Right,
but
yeah.
I mean, maybe the reason why they didn't is because of all the damage they did at the Fireflies, base camp or whatever. While Joel was getting out of there, maybe that's why, and they don't want something to come back and haunt them. But at the same time, I still think that if you are saying in your establishment there is a possible cure in there, maybe people don't come raid it. Maybe people don't come bomb it. Maybe people aren't looking for blood. Maybe they're just like, hey, we would like to take the girl and research her
Right.
to figure it out.
But like I totally agree. Like that would have been that whole cure storyline would have been excellent. Like her journey to find the Firefly again. And then like she doesn't have to die immediately. Like the doctors can just take her blood, and like
turn her into a vegetable.
slowly learn how to find a genetic cure.
Definitely.
And
That's a
then
start.
if it comes to a point when she has to die again, then she makes that choice.
Exactly.
But they didn't. They went with the whole revenge.
Because it wasn't
plot.
compelling enough.
That would have
See,
been compelling.
I think that it could have been done tastefully, because like another, I want to say, good thing in a bad storyline is I can totally understand how now I don't know if they did this or tried to do this, was the yin and yang side of it. You have Ellie over here who could have been the world savior, could have done this, and now she feels the way she feels. But now you have Abby on the other side, whose world was ended because of this, and now she doesn't have a father and doesn't have, that type of relationship that she wanted. Ellie has that relationship but doesn't want it. Like, I can see how there's two sides. Because of this one event, it affected her like this and it affected her like that. They're two strong women. One's life was changed and she became, part of the militia. Her physical was different. Like, her whole life was defined by, this one event. Whereas Ellie was more so reserved. She was confused and didn't know where to go and what her life meant. Like, there's two sides to the story, which done differently could have been a great storyline. But
So you are, I don't know the word here, okay, or at least understand that it makes sense that, of course, Joel has enemies, and of course they're going to be looking for him, and of course they're going to want revenge, and he's gonna be got at some point in time.
yeah,
Right? Like for me, I was looking at it like Joel. I think Joel knew too. I think when Joel did that act and he killed the hospital to save Ellie, I think he knew that he was living on borrowed time, and that all he did was buy himself a few more years with Ellie.
definitely.
And that's why he didn't fight it. He just let Abby just knock him out.
Because when
he pretty much couldn't fight, dude.
But he was
pretty
just
broken.
looking there like giving up, like he wasn't even
The
fighting.
dude was mad bloody on the floor.
But
Like,
if
how
you-
much fighting do you think he had
He just
left
didn't
in
put any
him?
fight off.
If you think about it, though, with him knowing, because he didn't just kill the doctor, he killed the main Firefly chick at the end, right? In the garage.
Right.
So instead of him staying to be like, okay, well, I'm going to build something, I'm going to teach music, I'm going to be a teacher inside our community where I'm safe. He still went on raids, he still went on explorations. So he was putting himself out there.
Yeah, he was living life as if, it was in the past.
Exactly.
And there was
So
nothing coming back
he
to
was
haunt him,
totally
so-
aware of the situation and how he was putting himself out there. So he didn't change his life at all. So, like, I know how he felt or can understand where he was going through, but, like, it didn't seem like he cared. The one person that he loved, aside from his
That's all
daughter,
he cared about.
like,
Yeah.
it was gone. Like, life was different. So, like I said, I understand both sides of it, and I can see how they could have played that storyline out better. But I think that you should have had the option in certain situations. Like,
Choice.
it didn't make
Never get
sense
choice.
how the story played out how it did. Ellie was so heartbroken and upset by Joel's death, even though she was mad at him, but she felt inclined to avenge him because he saved her, and she ruined her family, her whole life, to go find Abby, but then at the end you let her go.
Yep.
Like, it's a big letdown for me. Like, it was pointless.
I agree
Like,
with that.
the whole, I have to play as Abby, I have to play as Ellie, and then at the end, everybody just goes their separate ways.
And then you sit there as Ellie to finish it off, right? To do this last battle. You know, you played as Abby and Ellie. You don't get to choose who you play in that last position. It's you playing Ellie. And then you don't even get to choose like whether you want to execute Abby or if you want to let it go.
I feel
There's no
like
option.
they did exactly what they did in the first one. They took that, autonomy out of your hands, that agency. They took that away from you, and they made the decision for you. No, Ellie is not going to kill Abby. You are going to go home and lose everything. When I think if we had a choice, we would have finished the job, right?
You went all that way, you might as well.
Yeah, and same with the original. Like, give me a choice. Like, even if it was like your route, let me go down fighting for her, right? I'm gonna try to, save her, and if they shoot me up and I die, then I die. But I'm at least try to save my daughter, right? But they didn't give you that choice. They said, no, you're killing everyone in here, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have even shot at him and tried to kill Joel because he was trying to rescue his daughter if he didn't come in with firearms. So if he didn't blast everybody away, they wouldn't have automatically went to guns. They would have been like, this dude trying to get his daughter, like, let's go get this dude.
See, I think I disagree with that point. Only because the state of the world that they were in. It was really dog eat dog. It was like, you don't know unless you know. And then with his experience, like, so the way that they started the game, like, you couldn't trust anyone because you didn't know. Like, he had a bad relationship with his brother, and they fell out, and they're brothers.
Right.
The state of the world, like, it's one of those, you have to be safe or you're sorry. So if I go in there, guns pointed, hey, look, I don't want no smoke, I just want my daughter, and then we'll leave you alone.
They're blasting you.
They're coming right at you. Oh, okay, we'll let you take her. Code Red.
No, I'm thinking more like they should have given us like a sneak ability, because a lot of that game was sneaky. So maybe he just like infiltrates. He knocks
choke
some
out
dude.
Yeah,
choke out a guy, knock a guy out, grab Ellie, carry her out.
See,
but he had to murder the whole place.
But when you think about how
the whole
room,
place,
when you think about how the room was set up, compared to the entire game, everything is, there's dark corners, there's shadows, you can hide behind this. In that hospital room, everything was lit up. Lights everywhere,
Actually,
on the operating table, one way in, one way out.
I don't know if TLOU was like that dark. I think it was pretty bright.
No,
they said it was bright.
I'm talking about like the gameplay as far as like when the clickers were around, when you're any type of like, you're supposed to be stealth. When you got to the hospital, everything was crouch this, hide there, slide past. Once you got to the room, like, I've never been in a lot of operating rooms, but there was only one way in, one way out of that room. Wasn't
there was a back
doors.
door, remember?
Wasn't it blocked?
That's what they dipped out the back door. And they showed it in the story, too.
When he went in the operating room, he shot Doctor, grabbed her off the table, and went out the same door, didn't he?
Out the back door.
Okay.
The
opposite door.
Right behind the
door.
door. He went out that and then cut through. And that's why they were still, they were still following. And then Abby went through that same, the doors.
Oh yeah, see,
going back
then that has to go back to my first point, where it's, if you're not safe, you're sorry. Like, it really does suck, but I mean, in those situations, like I said, double crossed by his own family, like, in that type of world, how can you really trust someone? Like, even the brother and his little brother, when they tried to bring him in the first one, and then the kid got big, he tried to hide it from him. Like, I'm saving you, it has saved you, and like, you're still lying to me to protect your own interests. It's really tough in those type of doomsday, last world type scenarios. Like, I think it's hard to make those decisions. But to bring it back to the second game, like you said, I think that two main options should have been given. Abby should have had the option to whether she was going to follow through and kill Joel, or she was going to pass it off to Owen, because then I think that would have changed the dynamic of the game. As Ellie, watching you, I see now that you're conflicted. My dad or father figure killed your dad, but now you have a choice to make. Do you continue the cycle,
right?
Or do you go, you know what? I really see what this does. He killed my dad, I killed your dad, and now the cycle continues. Or Owen, hey, you know what? Because you love me so much, and you see how I feel, I just can't do it. I know I talked a big game. You let him have it. But now, I'm done.
Right, he walks away.
And now, she has that option towards the end, or Ellie, like, at the end. we get to that point where are we going to continue as Ellie and finish the game, or are we going to continue as Abby and finish the game? I built up both these characters. I built up both these relationships. I have these type of feelings towards both characters. Do I want to sail off into the sunset, or do I want to go back to nothing with Ellie?
I would have kind of liked it better if they had just done Ellie's story with like an ending of some sorts, and then we just went to the main screen and we had an option to follow Abby's story.
See, there would
see how she got to that.
There would okay. So you're talking Ellie from the start of searching for Abby to killing Abby. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To getting to Abby on the beach.
Okay.
If that had been
that would have been just
Ellie's
one
story,
storyline,
yeah,
and then you could have seen Abby's point of view.
And see like, oh, this is when they met up in the theater, and this happened. And, oh, this is when they met up over there, or whatever. Oh, and then you see how she gets beat up or whatever. You know, maybe do a couple of minutes in the camp as a slave, and then you get hung up to dry. And then you wake up, and then you see Ellie is sitting there in front of you. And,
well, I guess mentioning Abby's story, I guess we can kind of segue into this. I had a lot of problems with the relationship between Abby and Lev.
Okay.
I didn't think they did a very good job making those connections with me as the audience member, like they did with Joel and Ellie. Like throughout the course of that adventure, they made me fall in love with Joel and Ellie. I don't think they made me fall in love with Abby and Lev. And I think had they done a better job of that, I would have been more willing to play as Abby. But they didn't make them likable to me. How did you?
So I think that with that situation, there were too many variables, outside variables, that they try to include in that. Because when you meet Lev, like it's kind of androgynous, the situation. Then you see that you have to save her sister, like so. Like I think that they were trying to humanize Abby, because when you first see Abby, it's
heartless. Yeah.
Exactly. So now I think that they were trying to rebuild her as a person and not just an enemy. So in order to do that, you have to have an animal or another person. So now you see the lengths that she's willing to go through for this person and her sister, who is a stranger and once were enemies. So she can open up her heart to this person who used to be an enemy out of nowhere and be understanding and nurturing of the situation. Now that kind of mirrors the relationship that Joel had with Ellie, because Joel just looked at her as, I'm moving goods from one place to another. I lost my daughter, so now I can't get close to anyone, because that's how you get into heartbreak. Abby had heartbreak to start with, and then she had to open up and learn to care and love again. She was opening back up to Owen in that relationship.
Yeah,
she opened up to
I just
Lev.
felt like she wasn't with Lev enough, I felt, for Lev to soften her heart up. Like so it became, like you said, out of necessity. Like Abby met Lev and her sister, and they were surviving for their lives, right? So they were just running away. It was all about survival. There was no relationship building there. It was all survival. And then they part their ways, and then you're Abby by herself again until you go back to Owen. And then she decides to go back out and save Lev. She returns to go save Lev. But I'm like, why does she have this insatiable need to save these people, other than just it's the right thing to do? I wasn't getting like she cared about them. It was just the right thing to do was go back and save them.
I felt like she was trying to like save her humanity in a sense. Like I felt like she hit that tipping point when she slaughtered Joel on that floor, and everybody looked at her differently after that. I mean, I think Owen still looked at her differently, even though he seemed to have loved her or whatnot. But I mean, what was Owen's girl's name?
Pregnant.
Molly or something. Pregnant chick.
I can't remember.
Oh my God.
So she was like, disgusted with her, after that situation, and then and her and Owen's relationship also added on to her disgust and whatnot. But I felt like she turned into like some type of a creature or like an animal in a sense, and it was all about just like going out there for the next kill, after she finally kills Joel, and then it's back to the grind, the next mission, whatever, and so it kind of like was like this little, it's like a helpless animal you know, that you found and you rescued, you know what I mean? And now you're trying to like
I saw
bring
that.
it back to health, and it's kind of like, you know, it's a little warm tingling in your heart. You know, your heart was 2 sizes too small, so now it gets a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, you know?
I think, I don't know if it's like she found a puppy on the side of the road. I
see
think
that though.
I think the thing was, I probably, because the way that they show the flashbacks to Abby's childhood and how she was raised, I think that what it was she felt a sense of like camaraderie with Lev, because she lost her father. Lev didn't have like that father figure or an adult because her sister died, and she seen similarities.
She had a mom, though.
Yeah, but the mom didn't want anything to do with her.
Yeah.
Like she was so dedicated to the cause, like she was gonna be like slaughtered if she went back.
But that's like extra different from, you know, the Abby. I wanted something to do with
Which
you,
I
just
get,
got
which is why I think that Abby took on that leadership role, that mentor role, that big sister role, because her sister did die, and it was basically like, okay, well, Abby was out in the world to fend for herself, and it's either you see this kid and leave him out there, or you take him with you and kind of like show them the right way to go about things, because I think, like I said, Abby was so consumed. She was so consumed with like the death of her father and getting back, and then I don't think it gave her the resolve that she was looking for. So now, after that, she wanted to be with Owen. She wanted to have that happy life. You see that she was at odds like with the wolves. She didn't understand, okay, well, why are we going to go slaughter these people? Why are we doing these things now? So like her whole life, she was part of that faction, that military, and look, as long as we're in sync, I'll go do whatever you want, as long as you know that I need to go get Joel.
Look, I see the point that you're making with, she saw the scars as people. Like, so when she was with Lev, you know,
she
saw
those two.
She saw those two as people, but she thought, wait, maybe these people are more people than we think. They're not so crazy, which is why she was combating the boss. His name, the boss of the wolves, Isaac. Why she was combative with Isaac over his decision to invade the island, because she started to see these as people, not just, you know, savages or whatever. And maybe Lev did that. I'm talking more so about the personal connection she had with Lev. I don't think there was enough there. And this is another major pet peeve I have with the game, is at the very end, when Abby decides to murder all the wolves, which is a parallel to what Joel did in the hospital, which I thought that was a little bit lazy, that they just copied the storyline from the original, and they just kind of copied it. But for me, it made more sense with Joel. Even if I disagree with Joel's decision, it made more sense that Joel would go through the trouble of murdering all those people to save Ellie, where it did, because the Fireflies were not Joel's people.
No.
They weren't his people. The wolves were Abby's people. These are the people these were like her family. And she was going to go through with killing like her family for Lev, and I don't think that they did enough to build up that relationship between Abby and Lev to justify why Abby would decide to all of a sudden murder all the wolves.
Okay, so let me ask you, right? You hate Abby and Lev's dynamic.
I don't think they did a good enough job making them why they love each other so much.
Okay, so how do you feel about Dina and Ellie?
That was better. That wasn't as done as well either, but it was done better, I think, than Levy and Abby's relationship.
So I need to hear that one.
Okay, well, because they showed that, because they were endearing to each other, like they showed that they cared for each other, you know, more than just like survival. Like, you know, they were emotionally bonded, and you saw a lot of that banter between them, where Lev and Abby felt much more just about survival. We have a job to do, we got to get the medicine to get it back, like, oh, we just got to survive. There wasn't any kind of like level beyond survival between Lev and Abby.
I kind of disagree. I feel like it was like a first date gone bad. Like, I felt like they were still trying to like feel each other out, you know what I mean? Like, they had a high school crush, like they didn't really, they knew of each other.
I'm not saying it was done well, right?
Like,
Don't misunderstand me. I said it wasn't done very well either. But I think they did it's slightly done better. I could see why Ellie would sacrifice more for Dina than I would see why Abby would sacrifice for Lev. Their relationship was deeper to me.
See, I disagree with that though, because I think that Abby and Lev, I think that once Abby started really going through everything, because she started seeing all the people that she cared about die, like personally, Norma, Owen, his girl, like everybody that she personally cared about in her group died. Like the militia, the military that she was part of, she knew all of them, but I don't think that she had that type of connection with everyone more so. So I think that's why it was easier for her to dispose of the wolves, because she's seeing what the road that she
But
went
she
down.
wasn't disposing them. Ellie was killing all the family, the wolf members.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
Right.
saying, because Abby is seeing the road that she paved and what it was leading to. So because she killed Joel, now Ellie came back and started killing
Right.
everybody that she cared about.
Okay.
So Lev was basically the only thing that she had left that was kind of close to her, that didn't know her from that
Kind
past.
of. Like
couldn't
you use the word kind of there.
No, definitely, because
it's not done well.
they don't have an established relationship, but you can see how they have similarities in their lives, the patterns that they go through. Because when you think about the build of Abby, the way that she probably might have been confused by the others about her stature, her sexuality, and things of that nature, Lev is a young version of that. She's not as masculine, but identifies a different way, is ostracized by her people. Like, Abby was only really understood by the people in her group, and even to that extent, Owen was still on the fence, like, hey, do we really need to do this? Do we really need to go there? Is this what you really want to do? Is this how you want your father's memory to be, like, done? But, like, they all loved her. And then Lev went through the same thing. Mom doesn't care about you. Sister's gone. Like, now what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to live?
Yeah, but the wolves weren't rejecting Abby. They would have accepted her back in.
They had pretty
No,
much
Isaac
ended.
said, come back, come over here.
Yeah, I think that
he
was
said,
the
come
point.
on over, move away.
Yeah, that
They
was.
weren't trying to kill her.
They were gonna lock her up.
Definitely.
They weren't
had
trying
her
to
locked
kill
up.
her.
They might not have killed her, but I mean, do you want to be locked up?
I think that they
I
might
didn't
have got
see
rid of her
that.
just to be easy. Because yet again, in that
They
sense,
could have just
in
killed her
that
right there.
world, no, I think they would have got rid of her. But I think that the reason why they didn't in that point in time was because of everything that she knew, the way that she leveled herself up.
She was
And
a heavy hitter. On
If
this
you
one.
killed her in front of everyone, that would have been basically like killing your right hand, and now everybody goes down. If he killed Abby, what does that mean for me? And she was higher up there.
Yeah, but he had no reason to kill Abby apart from she just disobeyed rules.
In that type
He
of
was
setting,
in-
She
Didn't
she
he
wasn't
exile,
she wasn't an enemy yet.
yeah, he
Who was
killed
the
old
old
boy.
boy that was on
The one that was writing notes, that was changing his mind about the way that they were going about things. They got rid of him too.
Wait.
Yeah, the one dude that had slid off. I mean, Owen was like running from Isaac and the crew, right? Didn't they have a green light on him?
Yeah.
And he was over there hiding in the aquarium.
No.
Yeah, because Mans went to the gate and died at the gate or whatever, stating that Owen had killed him, right? So they thought, oh, you shot one of your
Who?
own.
So it wasn't a main character.
It was a slight thing that
He
they
had
throw
a
into
name in the
story.
game, but it wasn't as prevalent.
But
as
you know
the
why?
others.
You know why Owen wasn't at the camp, right? You know that Abby had to go find Owen,
Right.
and where she found him at, and he was over
Yeah,
there
but they
hiding.
weren't. But there were no wolves in her way. She was on. No one was trying to go after Owen. No one cared about Owen.
No.
Yeah, they
Isaac
were
did.
looking for him. He
Isaac
was
did
literally
put
in
the
hiding.
word out.
Oh, see, I didn't get that at all because there was no wolves on her way to get him.
He was in
So if they were
hiding.
looking for him, why did she not run into any wolves there?
So that's the thing. You don't recall when Isaac said that, Owen's been gone, he's been missing, so I'm going to send a group out. She was like, hey, let me handle this. I'll go find him and I'll
Okay.
bring him back.
But that doesn't imply we're going to go find him and kill him.
I mean, I don't know why.
She said bring him back. Well, that does not imply to me that they're going to go kill Owen.
See, I don't think that she would have been so concerned about anyone else finding him than herself, because I feel like she knows what they're capable of and how they were kind of leading down that path. And Isaac, I don't know if it
I
was,
see it as Owen would fight back, and then he would die fighting back, and so she wanted to go convince him to come back willingly.
I call it mad execution vibes. Like
That's
when
how I
we
felt.
see
Well, I
him,
didn't.
we put him
Okay,
down.
that's fine. I
And
didn't
then
see
when
that.
she went to Isaac and tried to fight for Owen's perspective, like, oh, we don't even know the story. Let's talk to him, ask him what happened, and let's figure this out together. And he's like, well, yeah, sure, we'll talk to him. We'll bring him in, and then we'll lock him up, and then we'll have a conversation or whatever. But he was telling her not to go out on her own. She already knew what type of stuff that they was on, which is why she was so adamant on going out by herself. Because if they was really all friends and cool with each other, why wouldn't she have cared to have 4 or 5 other people go, like she goes with 4 or 5 other people to go and find Owen?
For the
She
reason
knows
that I
where they
gave
at?
you, I already gave her the reason for that.
What's that? What was it again?
Because she was afraid that Owen would fight back because he didn't want to go. He wanted to do his own thing. So she was going to go try to convince him to come back willingly.
But if, go ahead.
even then though, like, so yet again, she had a small group of individuals. if she would have sent out, I don't know, the Hispanic cat who was like, they was the roommates.
Manual?
Yeah, he was
Something
cool
like that, I think it was
dude.
Manual.
Yeah.
Like, you had him, and there were a couple other people who were in their
There's some
group.
chill people in the
Hey,
group.
they didn't
Owen's
send out.
girl.
They didn't try to send out Norma. They didn't try to send out Manny. They didn't try to send out anyone close in the group to go talk to him. Like, it was. I don't think that Isaac gave out that option. Basically, it
Yeah, but
wasn't
that's
like
speculation. You have to net the
Yeah,
speculation.
definitely,
Okay,
definitely.
All right. I'm
so
fine with that.
definitely.
I'm fine with that.
But like, okay, so another thing about the game that I thought was interesting was the outside relationships. Like the way that they tried to cultivate all these relationships were crazy to me. Like they introduce you a character, try to make them prevalent to the game, and then either get rid of them or find out that they're not really important.
You
Right.
talking about Glenn? Or was
Not
nah,
even-
it's not Glenn. That's Walking Dead.
You keep saying
He was,
Glenn,
but
'cause
you know what's
Glenn
messed
ties.
up? He was Asian, and he was like a side character.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
he was father.
Yeah, the father of
Yeah.
the, of the
No,
child,
no,
right?
he was, he was
So,
father. He was the
I want to
father.
ask you guys
Yeah.
if I'm the only one that caught on this, but The Last of Us 2 really had a lot of side relationships. And like they were just okay with being sides. Like Owen's baby mama knew that he was in love with Abby, got knocked up, and was kind of like, look, Abby, you can't come with us. I know he wants you to come.
Yeah, I'm
if you
pushing you
come,
out.
it's a wrap. It's over. And then the other dude, the baby daddy, was like, oh, she's pregnant? Yeah, you guys can go be
I said
happy
one
family.
That's
too.
crazy. I was shocked by that.
Like,
You
with
would
the,
think like he would want his daughter or son, whatever. Like that's my child.
like they weren't even
Nah,
trying to
you
be
guys
like a
have
little
their life.
throuple or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, you know how she is.
Yeah.
Like,
You know how she is.
there was a lot of relationships that really didn't have any validity for the storyline and didn't make sense. The barkeep, who was just an angry, oh, you guys are
Yeah,
lesbians,
Yeah, that
get
was
out of
random.
here.
It's like okay, of
It's
course.
like, you got time to worry about this shit,
Yeah,
but we got this thing
I
going
agree.
on right
So,
here.
and that's one of the things that I really think that was odd about the game in
Yeah,
general.
I'll
A
give
lot
you
of the
that.
things that they put into the game that were like hot topics, Abby's body size, whether she's transitioning or not, but she still has a relationship with a man. There's a lesbian relationship, but Abby knows.
And
Dina
then
wasn't
Lev,
too
and
sure.
Lev's,
Yeah,
you know,
like,
transition.
There was a
Yeah.
lot of weird things that happened
Yeah.
in the game that kind of weren't relevant to the story, but they really put it in the
They were
forefront of
dumping a
it.
lot
That's
of
true.
politics.
That's very true.
So like I didn't really understand how that played a part in the game at all.
The only thing I would say is I agree almost like 100% with you on almost everything you said. I think the only thing is that I do at least appreciate that they made Lev's transition a part of the reason why she had to run. Like there was actual reason for doing that rather than just like pushing it in. Like because like you said, they pushed a whole lot of like these hot topics into the game that had no part of the storyline. Like the old bar guy, you know, the kind of things you were saying, like we could do without some of this stuff. But at least Lev's, you know, it was because she was transitioning that
Yeah.
she got kicked out, and that's what led her to run, and that's what led her to run.
That's
to
because
Abby.
she was.
At
she
least there was a
supposed to
sto-
be a dedicated
Yeah.
den mother.
At least there was, a
And then she
storyline
wasn't
there
with
with that political point.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes I hate when they put these political points just to put them in, right?
Yeah.
Just to shove them in your
But
face.
what I don't understand though is why that means death. Like why are they hunting for you now to kill you?
Well,
If you didn't want to be a
Right.
den mother or something like that, then you just get excommunicated from the clan.
Definitely
Don't
not.
come back.
definitely
You
not.
You coming
don't-
back with
yeah, we did-
arrows and
we
and
actually
stuff like
weren't
that?
given that storyline. Like what we actually don't know. That's
So,
a good. I don't know.
I think that if you picked up a lot of the notes, you seen the writing on the wall, like literally, and you kind of understood how their
Society.
religion,
They were fanatic.
their
They were
type
cult.
of structure.
Yeah.
If you think about it, in that type of world setting where the possibility of being infected or the possibility of dying or going to another faction, like, and we have to keep our group strong, like, I can't afford to have a woman who can bear children,
Not do
soldiers,
that.
like,
Yeah.
not play her
Right,
role
right.
to further our society.
Right.
So if you're not going to be with us, obviously you're against us, and
But-
you gotta go.
But I agree with Mark. It's like, what's the difference between excommunication and death? Either way, she's gone.
So,
entirely.
but this is the thing, though. I think it's the precedence that it sets for any woman in our
Okay,
like
sets a
village,
precedent.
You could just
like,
leave if you
okay.
don't like
any
it.
child,
Alright,
any
okay.
person, if
Okay.
you don't fill your role for the community, you gotta go. That means that you're not for us. That means you don't support us, and you gotta go.
Okay.
Now, if they would have let, hey, you know what? You want to go do what you want to do? Go ahead and leave. So then everybody looks around and goes, you know what? I don't want to do what I'm doing
No,
either.
I hear you.
Let's go.
I hear you. Yeah.
So, like, in order
Okay,
to keep
that's fair.
the tribe strong, like,
So,
I felt like
so
they
you're
had
saying
to
that's why
die.
they had to just, it's that. That's a sentence. If you're not going to do your role, then you might as well not live, right?
Exactly.
It's very harsh. It's a harsh rule.
I think
All
that their
that,
whole
okay.
culture, their
Okay.
religion was just, it was like that structure.
Okay.
Everybody has, you're a hunter, you're a gatherer, you're a mom. Like, if you're not playing your role, you gotta go. You don't get an option in it.
Okay.
I don't
Because-
think that's what the mother would have wanted, man. She sacrificed herself. She was a martyr.
You think
I don't
that
think
left
that's what
mom
she wanted.
sacrificed?
Mother, that one they prayed to.
The-
Oh.
They prayed to, yeah.
Yeah, see, I think they made that up anyway. they threw a stone. Hey, you're gonna be our Shay.
Well, nah, it was interesting on it because like reading some of the documents that were in the game and stuff, it seemed as if it was just a folly. Like she was a woman that had been captured, and then she ended up
She
dying.
had writings.
And yeah, she had a couple of writings, and somebody just decided to put her on that pedestal
Definitely, that I
and
mean
then
that's,
geek her up.
that's usually how those things go. You gotta go find like a symbol, and then one person goes, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I can't be that symbol, but we can say that she was the symbol, and
to
now
control people.
because she's gone,
Yeah,
no
something
one
to
can
fight for or
debate
whatever.
what
Something to
we
fight
say
for.
is right. Because we're gonna say this is what she believed in, this is how she felt, and if you believe in her, you believe in this.
Right.
So that structure was wild.
So-
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, this is getting really long, and we're getting a lot out of there. But I would just say, like, I think we can maybe both agree, or all three of us agree, that this game has done at least something in the sense that it's bringing all this conversation out, right? Like, there's a lot of depth there in this game that a lot of games don't have. So even if we don't like a lot of these story choices, they did it in a way that brought a lot of emotion and a lot of feelings and opinions out of us as individuals. And I commend the game for doing that.
Is that what you buy a game for though?
Oh yeah, you're the
Sure.
only one on that one.
Sure.
That was
I mean-
super trash.
I mean, I agree that I was not happy with the story. I said I didn't like Lev and Abby's storyline. I didn't like how they switched me to Abby. I didn't like how they made Abby unlikable. I didn't like a lot of the things about the story. That they dropped the ball a lot. But not every game can pull this much out of people, this many opinions, this many feelings out of people. And I think a game is doing something right if it's drawing something out of us other than just this is fun to shoot and hack.
Oh heavens no.
So-
That was terrible. If I wouldn't have got that game for my birthday, someone didn't buy it for me, I would have never bought that game. Like, I am
Really?
not trying to play this game for any political views. I'm not trying to find
You don't
out what
want
my
any,
opinion on the matter.
agendas pushed on
No,
you?
not at all. Entertainment, and like, that's it. Like, all this thinking about this, how would you feel about that? As me, as a character playing a game, that's not what I go to games for.
So you don't want anything to create any conversation.
No, not in my games. Definitely not. I want to read a book. I want to read an article.
Well,
I
a
wanna
book
watch
is
a
no
movie.
different. A book is entertainment.
No, so a comic book, I would say is entertainment. I can have some type of like stance in a comic book, like
Right.
with Civil War. You can see that.
You have an opinion.
Yeah, but my game,
And
not
it-
at all. When I play
Okay.
Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't care what Dr. Robotnik's political views are. He's the bad guy. I'm the good guy. Let's
So
get
it's
it over
okay
with.
in some forms of entertainment, but not video games.
Yes, for
Okay.
me personally. Like when
I
I'm
want
playing,
all my entertainment to exhibit something out of me.
see, I think
I
that's
just
fine.
don't want it so. Everybody has agendas that they want to push when they're telling
Sure.
stories and
Sure.
different things. We get it in movies and all kinds of shapes and fashions, TV shows, whatever. I just don't like when it seems like it's forced. Like I kind of just felt like TLOU was just like this melting pot of like, oh, we're just gonna throw these couple of things that
Mhm.
people have been talking about in there.
I agree.
To just like see if we can make it relevant. So like, hey, you go figure out how we can make transgenders relevant in a game.
Uh-huh.
You figure out how we can do lesbians in a game, whatever.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So it just seemed like because like in the reason I say that, I have no problems with any of that, but it's just like when the first TLOU, we never got an inkling of like Ellie being lesbian or anything like that. So now it's like it comes out of the blue. And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I never even got that before. And then like, why would it matter? Like, why do we have to have a story that fixated on that? And it should have been surviving more so. But you know, I get it. Whatever you try to throw in. But I feel
which is why I said at least they utilized Lev's transgenderism as a motivating factor for the story. Where like with Ellie,
motivating
transgenderism. Is that a word?
I don't know. You might have created a new one.
That's what I'm talking about. Good job, my guy.
Where like with Ellie being gay, that has no bearing on the story.
Yeah,
right. It has no impact on the story.
Yeah.
At least Lev's transgenderism had impact on the story. Had an impact, had a point on the story.
Hey, that's a WLG exclusive.
but like side note, like, how'd you guys feel about the zombies?
So the infected.
Yeah, like the new types.
I felt cheated out of that.
Okay.
I definitely felt cheated. For it to be a new game, they introduced a water aspect of it. I was expecting a water type infected. Like we're swimming now, we're diving deep into the ocean. There's a whole island where there's the Ferris wheel and it's on a boat. Like I didn't get any type of water infected.
Okay,
I think from the first game to the second game, there were 3 new infected, right?
I think the Shamblers was probably there already.
No, the Shamblers are new.
There was the bloater that started, and the Shambler came, the Stalker came, and then that hybrid thing towards the end.
But that's that was a one time.
That was just a boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which kind of tripped me out because, like, when I think about the first one, there was no big boss type infected that wasn't throughout the entire game. Was it?
No.
I didn't like the boss fight. I mean, me, Marcus, and I talked. Yeah, because there was no boss in the first game. I could have just done without that. It felt like just kind of added in.
Yeah.
I could have done without it, but it was okay. I mean, it was a boss fight, but I felt like the first one was fine. I didn't feel like I needed a boss fight. It felt like a perfect game to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why I need this.
I did like how they introduced Ground Zero, and this is where the main one is.
It was the biggest, like, it had the most evolution.
The build up forward, I think, was really good because if you imagine, like, okay, this is where it all happened. This is where everyone was. What was the first thing that came out of this? Like, I get that, and I totally understand that. I like how it kind of split apart a little bit. The actual fight, I didn't care for. The room was really claustrophobic. It was dark. Like, I couldn't really run around as much as I would have liked. There was a lot of things in the way. I think I died 30 times.
I felt like that boss fight, I was talking with Ray about it, but I felt like that boss fight was literally just, like, to put you on edge. Like, to make you frantic. Like, the way that thing
while you were going through that zone?
That thing just made you, like, it just kept running at you, and you just had to move. Like, there was not really too much time where you could just, like, stop.
It was one shot kill,
and
too.
then,
you got you died.
Trash.
So it was just like, you know, it was one of those things where you're like, oh shoot, I got a thing on my toes, you know, I gotta run, I gotta jump through this window, I gotta see, oh, can I go around this table? Oh, he coming real quick, and then when it branched off, I mean, I had a different experience with that boss than he did, because when my stalker branched off of my boss, he was effing me up. So I was literally running into the stalker.
I never fought him until after I killed the bloater.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had the same experience. Once I killed the big boss, and he split off.
Yeah.
Then I got him off quick.
Yeah, I was literally like in there battling this thing, and then I would be running, and I would go down, try to cut through a section, and then all of a sudden, the stalker would be there beating me down while I'm sitting here focused on the big boss. Like, it happened several times. Like, he was wrecking me.
Yeah, never.
And it didn't come. It didn't come to the point where I shot that stalker a couple of times, and then he ran off.
What difficulty did you have it on?
I had it on the normal, whatever the regular joint was.
Were you using the flamethrower?
I had used the flamethrower for a quick second, but once I realized that it did nothing, I put that joint away. I was using any and everything. I had emptied out the clips on everything. I think the last gun I had was the one shot, you know, where you could put a couple of bullets in and it was a slow reload. And like, I didn't even realize that one was to put in work. That gonna put in work. I popped that thing like 2 or 3 times and he dropped. I was like, I love you. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
But you
We
had
can
already
use this
tenderized them,
everywhere.
though. You already tenderized
And
them.
that's
Yeah, I believe,
You
but
did,
you know what I'm
you
saying?
did.
It was a
They
lot.
gave you a health bar, but absolutely, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did appreciate that they didn't make me do that whole encounter again from the very beginning once I died, because I
Yeah.
died, like my man's here,
Oh, yeah.
30 times.
oh yeah, it was
You know what I
terrible.
mean? I was getting worked. left
I
and
found a
right.
little loophole that I was telling Godly
You
Sovereign
like
about.
running around the table or something?
Yeah, so I ended up, it was like fourth or fifth try I got him. Because there was a table I was running around, but yeah, I just found this loophole.
Yeah, nah, he man.
Nah.
Yeah.
I flamed him real quick, hit him with the incendiary shotgun,
Yeah.
and then that pistol did the rest.
Right. All right. So before we go, right, I wanted to ask you guys about like the weapons and stuff like that. Like, how'd you feel about like the weapon? You know, I guess like.
I didn't ever use Abby's rifle, the 3-round burst. I upgraded the 3-round burst. I never used that rifle at all
Okay.
whatsoever. So for Abby's weapons, I didn't use too much. Where Ellie's weapons, I used the shotgun like crazy.
Yeah, the
I
shotgun
used the
wouldn't work
shotgun
for
quite
close
a bit,
up
and I
pockets.
used the silenced pistol.
Pistol?
Those are the two main guns.
Wow.
I was the bow and arrow guy.
Yeah,
Just bow and arrow,
I was,
okay.
once I got the bow and arrow and I leveled it all the way up, that was it.
Yeah.
It was quiet, it was effective, one shot kill. Like, I was good with the bow and arrow. Like, that was my jump right there. And then with Abby, because of the type of gamer I am, I really like to level everything up. I need to get it to the max so I can get it over and done with.
Right.
Abby, I didn't really care to level her weapons up because I was so anxious to get back
To get back to Ellie.
Same.
Exactly.
Right.
So I leveled up the weapons. I really liked her one-shot pistol. But other than that, like, she was all brawn.
Yeah, I was-
She choke you right out, real quick, get you out of there. Like, her melee weapons, I felt like she was hitting the hardest out of everything.
Yeah, she was just a beast.
I use the melee
In
weapon all the
general.
time with
Yeah.
her. And the shotgun, I use the double barrel shotgun quite a bit with her, but because
Yeah.
I like how they let me manufacture my own shotgun rounds with her.
Yeah.
Like, that was
Right.
dope.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
Cause you could, you could just resupply.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I
from-
can't find rounds, I'll make my own. Like, I
Yeah.
like that.
Right. Yeah, I definitely was using the one shotter. I think I was using her little assault rifle or whatnot. I did switch it to the 3-round burst, but I didn't really feel like it was doing anything
It wasn't
extra
hitting
for
hard
me.
enough.
So I wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I did enjoy and what I was kind of disappointed in was the gun, the very last gun that Ellie got.
Oh, that silent
on her
submachine gun.
mission to go and get Abby.
Oh, I
that
like
thing
that.
was
That was cool.
nice.
Oh, yeah, that was
Like
fire.
I was frustrated that we didn't have this from like mid game. Like I should have been had this gun. Like why am I waiting until now to do this like hunt for Abby to
Yeah.
get this gun? You know what I'm saying? So I think I might try to try New Game Plus and see if there's ammo for that gun. And I
yeah,
utilize that
yeah.
gun a lot more.
That was a cool gun,
I'm
man.
super off that.
You're not New
See,
Game
I
Plus.
still,
man?
No.
I didn't like the story, but I had a lot of fun with the combat. I had a lot of fun with the stealth mechanics. I had a
Yeah.
lot of fun shooting zombies.
Yeah.
I had fun playing the game. So I would play New Game Plus again just to play it again.
Yeah. So all in all, plus. You heard our review of it, right? You had
Oh, yeah,
9.5
you guys are
and
crazy.
9.
You
So
guys are crazy.
what would you give?
To
it?
be honest with you, the game is probably like if you factor all the storyline, the gameplay, just
Graphics.
like the graphics, solid 8, solid 8,
8.
solid 8.
Mm.
Because the storyline was so off for me, like, and then like if you get super deep into it, like how he was and how it makes you feel, when you really think about how the game is set, the first one there's infected, and it's the people versus the infected.
Right.
But the second one was the people versus the people.
Well, actually, I kind of felt like it was more so the people versus the people in the first one, and that the infected were just like an extra additive in there because it was like all of the relations and the way that they encountered each other in the game. I felt like it was more of a personal telling story.
See, but I think as far as the first one goes, you're just trying to get through the story. And as you travel through different areas, when people don't know you, obviously you get pressed. But the main like protagonist, the enemy is the infected. Everybody's just looking to survive in the first one, and that's what I got from it. You're going from here to there because we don't know you, we got to press you. The second one, you're killing majority people all the
It was
time.
all people for
So
the
like
most part.
that really kind of like it on a deeper level makes you really think the world is going to crap,
Right.
but you're doing all the killing in its people. They're not banding together. It's not us versus them. Like, and that part really kind of bothers me.
Every society or squad for themselves.
Which, and then you find out closer towards the end that there's so many different little factions here and there, and like it was just wild for me. Like, so like I said, solid A gameplay.
So you're just holding the story against it more than I guess we would hold the story against.
Oh, of course,
Okay,
because
alright.
I think that the story.
But everything else is like really
It is a big
top notch,
part.
right? The
Yeah,
graphics,
the graphics
the
and everything,
games,
they
yeah.
made the game beautifully.
Okay,
Like,
alright.
I would sit there and I couldn't tell the cutscenes between actual gameplay.
Right.
Some of it was merged
Right,
so
right.
well that I didn't even know I was supposed
And
to
the
walk in the
detail was
movie.
incredible.
Yeah, the detail was amazing. So like everything outside of like that was
The story.
great.
Everything outside the story.
The story just really ruled.
So it's like a
all of the
quantified
fun.
8.
Yeah.
That I guess that's why you say solid 8.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of quantifying it, right? Okay. All right. Fair enough.
All right, cool. All right, well, that's the end of our discussion of TLOU 2. Thank you, Plus, for joining us on
My pleasure.
this viewer spotlight thing we got going on here. We're gonna try to do this like every month, like once a month. So you know, if you guys comment, you know, join in
Please jump in the
on
comments.
the video and whatnot. You know, help this guy get some more people to talk to in the
Yeah.
comments. But yeah, you know, we'll just pick somebody out and have them join in. You know, whether you know it's COVID time, he lives close, but you know we might do some Zoom in or something like that. You know, some Skype calls or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Later.
I love you.